Oh, hello. Welcome to this week, which is Toddler Week. So week 3 of the course. So we start to get nitty gritty here as far as learning a bit more about the procedures and the background and treating things and being, not just seeing what comes up and having an awareness of, okay, this issue is coming up, therefore it could be these things that we're looking at. And that's the main point of the procedures that I've got. But most important question from this week this is the introduction to nervous system overstimulation procedure. Pretty much every person that walks through the door, I'm doing a very similar thing. So whether it's adults or kids, and this technique I have just developed over time. Like I was just speaking before I started recording, it's about trust, about curiosity, about feeling into what my client needed at the time, and then listening to the response that the body made, and then learning from there. So these are techniques that are common sense, basically. And if you use them in the step-by-step, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. Just be aware that you're looking for how the nervous system responds rather than always trying to fix things straight off. That first step is really just to let yourself question, okay, what is the response of the nervous system here? Because then you can see what's happening straight up, even in a calm and peaceful place. You can see the child's response and explain that to the parent as well. Okay, so they've started to wriggle a lot all of a sudden. So can you see that I've stimulated their nervous system and then they're starting to wriggle? So we know that they start to wriggle when their nervous system is activated, or they start getting chatty, or they shut down, or they try and deflect, or whatever their response is. It's really about educating the parent on that. So I'll talk a little bit more as we go through, but here we go. So here is my little toddler for today. So thank you, Kmart, for dollies. But the way that I'm going to show you, so I'm just going to move my laptop. Sorry. All right. So I've got a little spare room today. Okay. So usually I get the toddler here on the bed as quickly as you can. And here we go. So what your first step, and look, to be honest, usually they're sitting on mum's lap at this point. So they don't want to go anywhere, they're sitting on mum's lap. So you're sitting on the floor and you start playing with their feet. So this is a really good rapport builder. And in kids who really don't want to get up onto the table, complete permission to sit with mum, and I'm not going to touch anything but your feet. So it's the furthest point away from them, but also really, for us, it's really effective. Okay. So we have a little baby here. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to stroke on the inside where the big toe is, and right here underneath that bump, so you've got kidney 1 that sits just here, but this bump, so you want to see what happens to the toe. So usually it will flare a little bit and then relax, but in some kids it will flare, go up and stay flared. And that's really what you're looking for, is how long does it stay flared for? What is it, an extreme flare? Do they jar everything away? Do they stop you from touching them again? Do they curl up? And that's more like a withdrawal control response. So they're the ones that you'll probably see have issues with toileting and shutting down and withdrawing and hiding and things like that. And then this one's more like everything's on and active and ready to go. So you're going to give it a little stroke, and then I calm it down. So hold it like this, put that finger underneath there, and relax the toes. So if you relax the toes, you relax the nervous system. And right under here is pretty much, it's like when this is relaxed, everything relaxes. And then you do it for the other side as well. So you're doing it quite quick. So you're just seeing what it's doing. So grab it. Yeah, depending on how activated they are when they first get in. So you can rub oil onto this at some point at that point as well. And that's a great time to start talking to the parent a little bit more, ask a few more questions, ask the child some rapport building questions. So like, well, what do you play for sport? Who's in your family? All that kind of stuff. So you're basically just giving it a really good play. And if you're into reflexology, fantastic. You can find essences here. Of course, you've got the brain function point, bladder 62 here. You've got kidney 1s, kidney 2s. You've got the liver point. You've got the spleen 3. And then, what have I got here for you in the overstimulation procedure? I'm going to add in a little step here that I don't think I put in the procedure, but at this point, I will usually cut their Achilles and feel how tight they are as well, like this. So you're usually coming from this angle and you're going up and down, yeah? And you're doing it firm but not too firm. You just want to see how tight it is, whether they'll relax into it, whether it calms them down, whether you're going to take a deep breath or not. And then I'll stretch their Achilles a couple of times just to see again, will they let go, will they relax? So you're putting your finger behind the heel and you're using that to basically turn the foot down like this. So this hand is stretching upwards and massaging up. And this hand is pulling down. You're not going to rip the child. You're not going to force it down, but you just want to see the response. And it's quite calming as well. So after you've just stimulated the nervous system, you're just calming it back down again. How does that feel? Any questions so far? So you're going like this. Like this. And you can do that over again. Yeah, so sorry, bladder 62, that's for brain function. And you can use it anytime you want, particularly if you're working with a child with, bladder 62 is for processing. So it's good even in a session, just for helping to process what is going on in grounding. Okay. And then the next is the pressured squeezes, sorry. So again, if child's sitting on mum, fantastic. If they're sitting on the ground, that's fine. All right, here we go, that's better. Or if they're lying down, so I'll do it lying down. And lying down will look like, so you're not going to cover their eyes too much. I'm just going to come from here. Sorry, I'll come from this angle. Here. And I just use my thumb really gently because if that looks a little bit terrifying to mum usually. So I'll just start like this and I'll do this. So I'm not pressing too hard, but you can see I'm giving it a little bit of a firm squeeze. And I get into the jaw here as well. So with the thumb pad, and which is just up here, I'll just give it a little bit of a massage and a squeeze. They quite like it. And here, squeeze the shoulders, elbows, hands, all the way down to the fingers. You can play a little game there. And then, so up. So you're pulling the ribs. There you go, they're ticklish. You're talking to them. Squeeze their hips, give their hips a bit of a wriggle. knees, feet. There we go. And we go again. This way, this way. There we go. So you're waiting to see whether they relax, how long it takes them to relax, whether anything that you're talking about is affecting them as well. Unless if they're sitting, looks like this. There you go. So if they're playing, even better, you get into them. So if they're playing, over here playing, then you just quickly and often go all around their back then and through. There we go. There we go. I keep talking like I normally would. There we go. It's just such a habit. Yeah. So what's next? What have I got on the list? Heart 7. So pinky, heart 7. Give them a bit of a rub. So they're your calming points as well. And so what you're really looking for though is I want you to tune into the energy and the emotions, possibly sitting there as well. Governing 16. So that's this one right here. So you've got the occiput, comes in underneath there. Often you'll see what's called a stalk bite there. That's another thing to look for in toddlers. So stalk bite there, really red. Look, allied health practitioners are saying that it's like a little birthmark. It's not, it's inflammation. So it's handy to know that. So you're looking for signs of inflammation there, how red it is as well. So they're usually like a bit splotchy and they'll come down here a little bit. Usually it's more in babies than toddlers, but because we've got more inflammatories, that can hang around a little bit longer. Actually, probably not into toddlerhood, but definitely in babies. Toddlerhood, you're looking at whether the cranium has stuck into an unnatural state as well. So whether they've got a flat head where it's jammed. Inflammation there means systemic inflammation. So you're looking at the size of the roundness of the head as well here. So that will show in the jaw, which can often mean that the ears get blocked, or the tonsils and the lymph through here doesn't flow properly as well if all this is really tight or out of whack. And quite often, even if you just get mum to run her hands over the muscles there a couple of times a day, that can really help. So some kids like their head being touched and some kids don't. I don't give them a lot of, I don't ask them for a lot of permission because they'll always say no. So I just do it, and then it tends to feel good. They usually let you do it, but not mum. So that's governing 16. So I've just got another question. If I would do cranials, but I usually refer to an osteo if a child has cranial issues, because the way that we do them, it's not quite effective for a child who won't sit still. And there are a couple of muscular points which you can rub. So you've got the girdles here. You'll feel them, they're like a little dip and they can be a bit grainy. You can give them a rub as well, which will release all the small muscles down here. And then through the jaw a little bit, quite often it'll be a little bit tender through there. So you can give those a little rub as well. And back down here. But mainly, just getting if you say, look, let's give it a rub for the next session, for the next couple of weeks, and if nothing's shifted, then I'll refer you to an osteo. That can work well as well. it can make a difference, absolutely, when you're an adult. Absolutely, if your head's not round. Okay. Kidney ones as well. So you come back to the feet. So then you rock the lower back. Sorry, I've got a starlight up here. So this one, you're looking at, so you've got the pelvis here. So you just, on the tailbone, or even sometimes you'll kind of feel it needing it above the tailbone, just feel into it. I really recommend that you just feel into it. So you've got the kidneys and the adrenals, and then you've got that lower back and the sacrum here. So, I mean, in a small child, your whole hand's pretty much gonna fit over them, and you just give them a rock like this. So you can either rock them side to side like this, or rock your hand back and forth. So really, it's really, really gentle. So that's pretty much what it looks like on the outside, and all I'm doing is moving the pressure from this part of my hand to this part. So I'm placing pressure here, then I'm placing pressure here, I'm placing pressure here, then I'm placing pressure here. And with a tiny bit of a rocking motion there. So you're not, with adults, I'll get my arm into it, but with little kids, I won't tend to, unless they need a little bit of a bit of a play as well. But usually I'm just rocking it. So rocking helps to relax that nervous system. Helps it to just let go. And this is a great place to just kind of sit and talk about emotional stuff as well. So with a toddler, you know, what's going on at kindy and all that kind of stuff. So if they're sitting on mum, so get them to try and sit here, and you can rock them, or even on their side, and you can hold their front as well. And you rock them like this. And then you can go back and forth as well. You can feel if it's kind of jamming as well. There you go. So again, and if you really want to, you can start releasing around the tailbone a little bit as well. Any questions there? So again, if they're playing, doing this, I'll run through it again, all of it again. The holding still, so you're getting underneath and you're cupping the occiput. So your fingers are at the base of their skull, around all those bladder points there. And then your hands are around that base of the skull there. So they're your neurovasculars for the adrenals through here as well, and your kidneys. And then you've got governing 16, all your bladder points, which you can put your fingers on there. So they're all your survival points as well. And then sometimes I'll even stretch this suture here just to help that brain function as well. So you're not really putting any force on it, just kind of running it down. But I'll often rock here, feel into it, just hold it and keep talking. So again, the older the child is, the better that is. And the longer you can stay with it. So look, to be completely honest with you, very high percentage of my sessions, this is all I'm doing. Holding the occiput and talking. Because you can get right into the jaw here as well. And the ears, nice little massage for the ears. So you put your finger underneath the ear and you pull it, and I can like that a little bit. The next one is T7 to T9. So you've got here, one is the back of the heart chakra. Two, I find that this spot's really quite active. So T7, T9 is like just underneath the shoulder blades around here. It's quite sensitive if their nervous system is overstimulated, so they'll start to wriggle heaps. And it's a really good point just to get into, and it's so easy if they're playing. If they're lying down, you can put them on their side, or you can just, usually it's on their side from here if they're sitting with mum. So easy to get into as well. So you're rubbing here, and basically you're desensitizing it. So you've got the spinal gland there, you've got the back of the heart chakra energetically, you've got all the nerves that go to the stomach and the digestive system there. You've got that, like I said, that overstimulation point, or your kidney points there as well. It's just a really good one to just sit from. And then the next one is finding tension points on a baby. So you can muscle test these with mum. You can, toddlers, some toddlers, the brachioradialis, you can hold there. I will just find them. You just find them. So basically you're just touching all over and you're finding tension points. So you're really feeling into all the muscles, the energy flow. You're looking for tension first, and then you tune into the tension. So say it's here on you, then you tune in and you can muscle test again. Is it physical? Are we looking at the Houston valve here? Are we looking for like a hip that's out or that needs a bit of adjusting? Are we looking at constipation? Are we looking at uneven legs? Or are we looking at an emotion or an energy or storing something as well? So just basically you're just finding it and correcting it. So I do a lot of fascia work where I talk about it, and I will feel that kind of, so the fascia is the tissue between the skin and the muscle, and you just work, it will move as you breathe. And so you're kind of feeling into it and then also allowing it to move to where it naturally wants to move. And with your heat of your hand, it will melt the fascia a little bit. So it will actually start to move. It may take a while. And then you'll often find like a release. So, and you're talking to the parent around this time as well. So that's pretty much it, you know. Hand all everywhere. Up your wrists. I'm going to get into those for a while. You know, that kind of thing. And you're just doing that over and over. So if they're playing, you're finding them, you're holding them. Sorry, I'm out. That's what it was. Let's talk about that for a little bit. You know, is tension here? Is there an age? Is there an event? Is there anything, you know, feel into that emotion of it? So the way I'll often feel into an emotion is I'll breathe with the tension. And then often when you're breathing with the tension, you'll feel the type of emotion that's sitting there. How can I describe it? That's the best way I feel like I can at the moment, is that I'll feel the tension, I'll breathe like the tension, and then I'll find the emotion. I hope that makes some sort of sense to you. And then that's what you're doing. The open gap on the baby's heads. Gosh, you've got me. What is it called? It's right here. So you obviously don't get into that. But that should be closed up by definitely 18 months. And then you're teaching the child to breathe as well. So you're putting your hand on their belly. Take a big deep breath and out. And you're teaching them to breathe out and pull their stomach in. Breathe in and push it up and out. So with toddlers, I'm usually getting them to say or to blow out like candles. We're trying to get them to do that. You know, so I'm saying, blow out my candles. Whoop. You did it. Blow it out a bit harder. Blow it out a bit harder. So if you get them to breathe out, frontanelle, that's it. Sorry, that's the gap in the head. So that when you breathe out, it will leave space for oxygen to come in. So that's the first step, is to teach them how to breathe out, because that will relax the nervous system. So the more carbon dioxide we have in our body, the higher the nervous system response. And the higher carbon dioxide content in our body, the higher inflammatory response we have, and the higher histamine allergies and tolerances we have as well, and all that kind of stuff. How are we going with that? And then ESRs, you know, just because they're a kinesiologist's favourite. And I do that like here. There we go. So again, I'm always holding the back of the head. I actually prefer these points to the ESRs now, to tell you the truth. Okay. So here we go. Here it all is again, in speed. This, do-do-do. This, do-do-do. This one. This one, I might even do that again. This one. This one. I'm so used to making noises and talking through this, I'm sorry. Okay. I've got heart sevens. Feeling into the emotion there. Give me ones. Opening 16. There we go. Rock for a little bit, talk for a little bit. All right, I'll do it sitting up in a second. Lying still. So again, I'm moving, not the baby. Hold here for a while. And when they want to move, don't force them to sit, you know. You can try once, but if don't keep forcing them to sit. Up, down here. Okay, let's look for your tension points. Where are they? Where is it? So you can be looking for points here. You can be looking for fascia points, as in just anywhere in the body that's holding tension. So where is the tension being held? Where are all these emotions and stress being held? Another favorite one is underneath here. You'll find that big in adults as well. That's because when you're in survival mode, all of this tenses. And then, yes, listen to the music, play with your crystals, all that kind of stuff. So in reality, it's usually not that smooth. It's quite a bit jagged. Okay, here we go, little baby. Here we go. Around here, do-do-do. I'm going to hop up and walk around for a bit, and then I'm going to get you coming back down. And I'm going to try you again. I'm going to go over here, so I'll talk to mum for a bit, come back, let's try some squeezes. Here we go. Come on, let me do it. Oh, that feels nice. Do you want to come and lie up on my table now? Let's try this. Oh, you're done with that? Let's go over back to mum. If you get my gist there. And then, there we go. There we go. Let's find the tension points. Set points. There we are. Now what's actually going on here? Finding the root cause. What's actually making them feel unsafe? That's the main point in all of this. What's making them feel safe? Is it birth? Or is there been something from there that they've felt unsafe with that they haven't processed? Or is it a continual unsafety thing that they need the tools to be able to handle? I hope that makes sense. Okay, ready? Pull out my fingers. Good job. Oh, you're not going to do it for me. Hey, Mum, can you practice that at home? And yes, us. Get off my head. Okay. Get off my head. Okay. So there we go. How are we feeling? Hello. I'd love some feedback on that. If you have any for me right now, any questions? Anything you want me to go through again? I know it's hard when you're not in person. I will retest the toes at the end. Yes, it's a really handy one for Mum as well, because I'll at the beginning I'll point out to her how stimulated they are, and at the end it's really nice to say, see how much they can tolerate now. You've emptied their bucket now. There you go. What else can I teach you guys? Here we go. So curl under, so withdraw. Curl up is like an overstimulation. They might fight, they might flight, or they might just be on. I've got a Q&A here as well. So continue, so we're still processing through emotions or even events. So in children, they need to understand what happened. So that if they don't understand what happened or how it happened, often they will feel unsafe with it still. So even if it's something that wasn't particularly traumatic, it might just be that there was a change, they shifted houses and they just don't understand how or why things are different. So even just piecing together that for a toddler, oh, you lived in that house, but now you live in this house, and you've got all your same toys. So this is the same and that's the same, but this is different, but that's the same. So helping them to understand and process that event, really. A really good book to read, I highly recommend it for everyone, is The Whole Brain Child. So as I was starting to write this course in my head, that book came out and it just tied everything in. So I feel like it is a real shift that we're making on that consciousness level in understanding how much things need to be processed in a moment and how much the unprocessed, like the not processing an event, can affect behaviour and defence mechanisms from there. Sorry, I'm getting a bit cold. What else have you got? So for toes, when there's no problem, they will naturally splay a little bit as a response, but it will be quite small and they'll just relax straight afterwards. So that's quite normal, as well as a little bit of splay, particularly in kids. Okay, I'm just going to have a look at these procedures for you. Is there one in particular that you want me to go through for the procedures? Here we go. Let's have a look. Separation anxiety is a big one for kids. And again, more often than not, it's usually because they just don't understand what's happening or what is expected of them. A huge difference that simple things for kindy that can make a huge difference for separation anxiety is that one, always having this, so particularly if there's a shift from that baby room into the toddler room, can often be quite noisy. There's a lot more going on. activity-wise, you know, they've gone usually from this like little peaceful thing into a bit more like a rah-rah type of feeling. So I will get the mum to make sure that there's a little routine and the child knows what's expected of them in that moment. So I'll give them 3 steps to make. So when you walk into the room, you're going to put your bag there. You're going to go to that toy. That's really, really important often. It's just giving them one toy to go to, because if you think about being that small and walking into an environment where there's a lot going on, it's quite overwhelming. And then there's also the thought of leaving mum and all that kind of stuff. So she's your safety. So they're going to want to cling to her. And quite often these are the kids that are really good with dad, but not so good with mum. They just get a bit overwhelmed at the beginning. So what you do is you get them, put their bag down there, go to that toy, and then you can go up to that teacher or that person and talk to them. So even if you just stop at the number 2, go to that toy, it really does help. The other thing that can help is that getting them to walk into the kindy room on their own. So they're not going from that visual stimulation of seeing everything from above into the overwhelm of, oh, it's all in my sight. So they've got a little bit more control when they walk in, they feel a bit more powerful. Quite often even just that really small change of not carrying them into kindy can really help. Okay, so I've had a question here. When emotions come up on a card, so, you know, not always sure how much the kids need to understand it. So with toddlers, you're probably more going to talk to mum about it. So what's this emotion mean? From a practitioner point of view, you want to make sure that it makes sense to you and the context that you have already discussed. Hopefully this emotion is not going to be coming out of the blue. Hopefully it makes sense to what you've been talking about, or you have a little bit of an idea, or you find more context around it before you bring it up. So don't feel like you have to find a card, talk about it straight away. You know, allow yourself to sit with it a little bit, that emotion, and okay, you know, even you're asking the body, like, okay, why that emotion? Where does that come from? Who does that relate to? Does it come from a particular age or situation? Sit with it yourself first. Find a little bit more context. Think about it. So when she says card, it'll be like a flower essence card or something like that. So basically your muscle testing emotions. And yeah, so if you found an emotion through muscle testing emotions, then allow yourself to sit with it before you bring it up. And that's really handy as an experienced practitioner as well, is just making sure that those things are going to make sense in the context. Because if you chuck it out and you haven't even thought about it, or, you know, is it the actual emotion that the card is bringing up, or is it the energy around that emotion, or is it what is that card trying to tell me, so that I can interpret it to you properly. I hope that helps. Yes, you check the toes after the procedure to see if how the baby responds. Always check the toes at the end as well. It's a good little test to see if you've done your job as relaxing the nervous system, or if there's something else that needs to be done as well, or if there's something you've missed. So it should be relaxed after a little bit. So that's separation anxiety. What else is there? Sleep procedure, big thing, sleep, breathe, sleep. Sleep, breathe, sleep, sleep, breathe, sleep. So you're not putting your child down quick enough. You're keeping them up too late. It all will lead to overstimulation. High cortisol equals low sleep. So why are they overstimulated to begin with? And if you're quite often you're in a cycle where there's just not a lot of sleep all around. So make sure that you are putting in a nap any way, shape you can. And if they're finding it hard to put them down during the day, it's more often because they're putting them down too late. So for some reason, there's this thing with toddlers where they're having a midday nap all of a sudden. Whereas really babies or toddlers will really kind of feel tired around 10:30, 11-ish. So don't be afraid to pull that sleep forward a little bit. And that will often get them down a lot easier because you're not reaching that overtired state. If a child hits something in my room or breaks something, how would you interact with them? Usually they're doing it, so if they've done it intentionally, it's for a response and they're waiting for you to see what your response will be. Are they safe? So if they've broken something in my room, my first response is to make them feel safe and okay. It's just stuff. That's just stuff. So I've had curtains pulled down, I've had things break, whatever. If I've allowed it to get to a stage where they've escalated, I'm not doing my job properly. Because they're not feeling safe. They're feeling overexcited, overstimulated. They're seeking confirmation of something. So it'll start off with small amounts of whirlwindness before something breaks. If they've come in with a whirlwind, then they're incredibly nervous and it's your job to calm them down in that moment and explain to them exactly what is going to happen. If they've just been playing with stuff and accidentally breaks, it's fine. No worries. Not one worry at all. This is your safe place. That's ultimately what this is. You're not there to discipline them. This is your safe place. Allow mum to discipline them afterwards because 99% of the time she will. Yeah? So, and she might not do that in the room, but, we've all been there and something's happened and then we get in the car and we're like, this is what happens most of the time. So just make it okay. The last thing you want to do is shame or fear a child. What would that purpose make in a therapeutic room? It just wouldn't. What else can I tell you guys? Tonsils and adenoids, it's not our job to decide whether they get taken out or not. Trust the parent's intuition on that, please. 7 weeks after they get them taken out, the anesthetic can last for and make them angry, so you can pre-warn them that before and after. Lots of magnesium baths through that time to get rid of the anesthetic, even come in for a session if the aggression is getting out of hand. What else can I tell you there? It's such a long-term thing, like chronic tonsillitis and adenoids, that if the sleep, it's kind of to that point where if the sleep is so affected by it, you're not going to be able to pull it back. So sometimes, and I'm going to sound controversial here, but sometimes it is actually best just to get them out if they've ever been allowed to get to that point. But making sure that the parents know that, look, there's obviously something that's sluggish about this lymph system and it's not going to go away just by taking out the tonsils and the adenoids. You're going to have a look at why their lymph is struggling in the first place, but just to reset and allow sleep in, that's like, I trust your intuition on that. That's fine. Olive leaf extract for a while. There's a brand called Rochway, Rochway. It's fermented olive leaf extract. Some people find that's quite useful as well if they give that. So if you kind of push the procedure back, because it's not that chronic for, for a couple of months, then let's try the olive leaf in the meantime. If things get better, great. If they don't, then you've still got the procedure there. But again, you're looking for the mouth breathers. You can feel them up around here as well. whether it, push up just underneath the jaw, and you can feel the tonsils there. So right underneath here, mine are actually got a little virus going through the family at the moment. The glands are up, but yeah, that's where you'll find them as well, and see if they're tender to touch as well, and which one's bigger. If a child is snoring, you want to get them checked out to see whether the tonsils and adenoids are too big. Particularly if their snoring is continuous throughout the night. There is snoring where it's just chronic tension, and they'll snore for a little bit of the night and then they'll ease off. But that real and then wake up because I haven't breathed for a while, it's not good for a child. So if they have their tonsils out, then just make sure that the parents know that that doesn't solve the problem. It just is acutely going to help with some symptoms. There you go, toddlers. Have fun with them. Don't take it so seriously. If you don't get all the information in one session, bring them back in for the next half an hour. I will have no problem with finishing a session early and just saying, that's all we can get to today. Let's pick it up next week or in a few days, and bring them in for another half an hour. And you'll find that the more they come in, the more comfortable they are. And that's a sign of anxiety as well. So, that's what you're there to help with. So children under 7, I will book them in for an hour first and then half an hour follow-ups. 20 minute, 20 minutes is usually the most you'll get out of them. And you'll find that they're ready to go out the door. So I still charge half an hour, but we finish at 20 minutes. If a child has constant 40-degree temp before operation, that's just going to have to be the surgeon, the GP, and the parent's choice. Usually you try to get it down, because I would assume that the risk of infection is high if the temps are high. But again, it's not really up to you. Tonsil up, look, because it's a bacterial thing that can drive, and chronic lymph and immune system dips, I would say that sleep's affected, that there's a build-up of toxins in the body. That's why the tonsils are big as well. So you're looking at, it just depends. Some kids overheat really quickly, and that's usually a liver sluggishness thing. So you want to be looking at what their diet's like, what their sleep's like. You're looking at the gut procedure there first and foremost to see whether. So the question asked is, operation, if a child has a constant 40-degree temp before operation, and that's while the tonsil up is suggested, do you have any other suggestions? So again, I do the olive leaf, I do the gut procedure, and I do the nervous system procedure, and then see what happens there. Look at diet, what is causing all that overheating, what is the immune system actually trying to respond to? Is it what's in the tonsils? Absolutely, you can look at your tissue salts and homeopathics there as well. Furfos is good for temps as well in an acute situation. But be looking at what's actually causing the body to flare up, and basically what's it trying to get rid of. But thank you guys. Any other questions before I go? No. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming today, guys, and for being so interactive. Again, if you have any questions, go to the Facebook page or email me, and I will see you next Thursday. Bye.